and we're very grateful for all of you. So, with that said, let's keep the juice rolling. So I was watching this documentary. There's a documentary series on. I have Files, so I was watching Viceland. I think the channel's name is Viceland. So they've got this show on there. It's a documentary that they're doing. It's going to be several shows, and it's called Weediquette, believe it or not. So it is about weed, and it's a bunch of it's not talking about sitting around smoking it, even though that is one show that they're actually going to talk about where they take a trip to Jamaica of all places. I mean, it's so stereotypical though. I was like, come on, man, can't you do something else? But anyway, so the guys doing a documentary. It's actually very educational, and I enjoyed watching it. But it prompted a thought in me because I was watching the show and they were talking about the medicinal use of weed. So they have. And if you're following politics even a little bit in Maryland, you know that that's a topic and that's on the table right now. We actually are in the process of potentially approving medicinal use for marijuana. So I started to think about that. I said, well, what the believers going to think about medical marijuana? And if you're a Christian, would you use medical marijuana? Would you take the ganja to feel better? Is what I'm asking today. Would you puff on the Reggie? Right. Would you? Right. I mean, it's a lot of things. It's a lot of things that we do as far as prescription drugs are concerned, and there's a lot of things that are prescribed for us that we've been told are okay. But this is the green earth right here. We talking about from the earth mind. Right. And so what do you guys? How you guys feel about it? If you're a Christian, should you partake in the consumption of cannabis if it's going to make you feel better or it's going to improve your situation? Talk to me. Talk to me. Lettuce. Right, the devil's lettuce. So what you feel on that?
I will say this, and keep in mind, people, we're not talking about going to grab some weed from a homeboy that that's selling weed. We're talking
not
about
the little bag with all the stems and seeds in it. That's not what we're talking about.
We ain't talking about go get a grape Dutch at the gas station. We ain't talking about that. We're talking about if your doctor, if you have an illness or you have, usually it's prescribed for chronic pain.
Sure.
If you have a chronic pain.
And some terminal diseases like cancer, lymphoma.
I would say yes. It's a benefit, it's there to help, just like you said. It's funny how people will look at that and say, well, smoking marijuana is a sin. Well, I mean, people are getting hooked on prescription drugs. That's man-made.
Opiates. Call them what they are.
So you're getting hooked on a man-made drug instead of, if this is an alternative use, and you at home and you're responsible, and your doctor say, hey, I think you should, try the weed. I would say, yeah, I would try it because I'm using it for pain. Sure. Now, if you ain't in pain and you just feel like, don't get crazy with it. But if you're in pain and that's something that you feel like you should use, I don't think God is going to frown upon that. Again, weed is here. It's put on this earth. It's a plant. They studied it and it's used for pain and illnesses.
Sure.
So I don't see nothing wrong with it.
It's an interesting thing to think about because, I mean, think about this. Everything that you take, like people will say all the time, and I'm not calling, anybody out or anything like that, but if you taking the Percocets, if you taking the Oxycontin, if you taking the codeine cough syrup, and you trying to get your lean, because that's abuse when you put it in that drink and making that lean. But if you that's scissor, Now if you're doing that, that's abuse, right? But if it's something that's prescribed to you and it has a proven medicinal use and it's going to change your quality of life, I would argue the point that we should be fine with it. What you feel? How you feel?
I totally agree. Like both of you said, you use man-made drugs, prescriptions and everything like that. Prescriptions are probably worse for you.
Yeah.
With anything, you have to be cautious. You're going to get addicted to anything and be careful of abuse. But the weed has been proven to cure or help ease the pain for so many things. I mean, all the way down to even HIV patients. The HIV patients with too. So I really think, obviously people speak out against it, you can't do that. But
Oh, yeah.
I totally think that if it's that serious and the doctor says, you can take this, I would do it.
Yeah, I think that part of the problem is, and I'll be honest, just part of the problem is misconception.
Folks too seen.
Because that and the fact that you've got right, that and the fact that the perception has been for so long that this is something for hippies and party people.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard to get that image of somebody puffing on a bong or rolling up a fatty out of your head, and then look at the medicinal usage of cannabis.
Right.
So it's kind of hard for people to differentiate that between the two, and that's all about marketing. I mean, if you look at the media and you look at the way that things are presented, every time the word, I mean, you go back to the '70s with, and now I'm going to date myself, but Cheech and Chong, even though I wasn't supposed to be watching those movies back in the day, I was watching them, and shout out to OJ if he's listening, because you know that we watch Cheech and Chong movies, but the fact is, it's about perception. So if you're told that something's wrong, if you're told that it's negative, and you're told that it has no use to you, then you're obviously going to think that that's the case. And even if statistics prove otherwise, I still think that we're going to have a problem. But just as believers, that's kind of where it struck me. Like, what's the church going to do about the fact that there's an okay, so to speak, for medicinal usage of this in particular plant, and that's kind of bothered me, because I know, I mean, even in my own research, and I've in the past I've had two different perspectives on this. At one point I was like, oh no, because the scripture says that we're supposed to honor our bodies, and we're supposed to take care of our bodies, and it's true, the scripture does say that, but would it not account for the fact that we take Tylenol or ibuprofen? Because they all have negative side effects. So if that's the case, then we should not take anything that's going to have a negative side effect, and that's just the way that I see it. I'm trying my best to sound as eloquent as possible, but I'm saying go for it.
Yeah.
If it's going to make the situation better, why not?
And don't take, people don't take this the wrong way, but you don't have to smoke it. They have lollipops and butter as well.
They also
Lollipops and butter.
I'm so serious.
they have pills too.
Let me get
do
some
have-
bacon,
Can I get
eggs,
the-
and cheese, and some of that wheat butter.
Right.
Because my cataracts is kicking in.
Look.
Right.
My eyes twitching.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
eyes look, that glaucoma, that touch of glaucoma is really bothering me right now. So, but anyway, I mean, it's just one of those things, just like everything else. I just thought that it was an issue. Same thing as with secular music. Just secular music itself is a touchy subject for some people.
Right.
Especially in the body of believers. We can't listen to. Some people think that we should not and cannot listen to secular music, and I feel very strongly about this. When I'm about to turn up with my wife, and we'll just call it turn up because this is the after church show. But when I'm about to turn up, I'm not putting on Shirley Caesar. Right. Ain't no Fred Hammond playing when I'm trying to, get next to it.
When I'm winding down to my wife, she come home, like rose petals and the candles lit.
Yeah.
She ain't trying to hear trust in the name of the Lord. She
Right.
trust in the name of, like, she's not trying to hear.
Take me to the king.
Yeah, take me to the king. And those are beautiful songs, so please don't get us twisted.
That's not what we
Maybe I
say.
understand you. That's
Right. That is a way to shut it down.
Right. That's it. I'm sure it's a turn up for her. It ain't
Yeah.
sexy. So
Yeah.
it's like, we got to put on some Luther.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
you know
Let
about-
that-
what you know about Luther?
Oh, we was listening to Luther earlier.
Hey, the woo band.
Right. This world was mine. You trying to
Okay.
play that when she come
Okay,
in.
y'all was doing grown folk
I
things.
think- oh, yeah.
No wonder he's so loose. Shout out to Pam. He
Hey.
really loose on the show today. My man is loose.
No, I'm just being me. Y'all know me.
Yeah.
I'm funny, I'm silly, I'm laid back. But in reality, I think it's there's a time and a place.
Yeah.
There's a time and a place for secular music. There's a time and a place you know.
Like the cookout.
Right.
I mean, come on, Frankie Beverly.
Right.
Frankie
I
Beverly
know
goes
y'all
and
doing
the
electric
ribs,
slide.
right? I mean, it's
And
ribs, chicken.
Right. You know,
Frankie
when you go
Beverly.
to the shrimp feast, everybody's gonna be on the dance floor, and you
Nobody's
gonna rock.
going to electric slide to this.
You know, we
means
just
war.
me and Greg went to a marriage conference,
Yeah.
Valentine's Day weekend.
Awesome
Shout
time,
out
by
to
the way.
Team Jeffers, Brian and Shanda. We love y'all. We
Hey now,
appreciate y'all.
happy 40th, Bryant.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
we put your
Okay,
age out there,
yeah.
bro.
Yeah. You ain't no millennial no more.
You're not a millennial. You are not a millennial,
Right.
Bryant.
But
Welcome
they
to the
had
crew.
it was a church conference. It was a marriage conference. But they had the Panama band. I mean, and we were rocking.
Oh yeah, they were getting it in.
Yeah, they were getting it in. We were dancing,
Yeah.
we were sweating, we were having a good time, we were playing songs. They were, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't, you know, they weren't out there trying to play commission, you know, because we weren't, ain't nobody trying to hear it.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and people can say what they want. Oh no, secular music, this. No, there's a time and a place. You have to know, you have to know the season. When you're under attack, yes, that's when you know.
Exactly.
Sure.
I used to, and I'll talk about myself.
That's all you can
When
talk
I
about.
used to get mad, I used to want to hear like angry music. So I play on Eminem because I'm mad.
That is,
You know what I'm
that's the
saying?
worst thing.
And
I'm
Wait a minute, wait a minute.
real shady. He
No, it
pissed
was
off.
right. It
Listen
wasn't
to
that song,
Eminem.
but you know, I throw on some Lil Wayne. Like he got the beats are just like
Yeah.
And I thought that would calm me down, and it was. I mean, you know what I'm saying. It didn't. It wasn't the right place and time.
Yeah.
Even if you want to, if that's your choice, you know, I'm not going to judge you for the music that you listen to.
Right.
But you have to remember, and you know, it's something that I always remember. You have to make sure it's that right time when you're going through something, or when you're angry, or you're in a stage in your life.
Mhm.
Yes, that's when you want to listen to gospel music. That's when you want to listen to those songs.
And every day too.
Right.
Let's do it.
Right.
Everyday
Yeah.
worship,
Right.
every day, all the time. So I don't want people to get off the accident after
Right.
church tripping, because they're not tripping in that regard. We're not saying that that you should listen to all secular music, because some of the stuff is
Right.
derogatory, some of it
Garbage, right.
is garbage, just to call it exactly what it is. It disrespects women and all that other stuff, and that's not what we're trying to talk about. We're not talking about the stuff that glorifies the negativity.
Right.
It talks about drug usage and popping pills and mollies and all this other stuff.
And
You know what I mean?
I will say, at the end of the day, it all comes down to what you use with that time spent getting involved in media.
Yeah.
You know, because if you allow it to control you and your emotions, you know, then that's a problem. Maybe you need to back away from it, because you should never let it control the way you live.
Yeah.
So I just think it should be used for what it is, communication tool. Media itself is a communication tool. So if you allow the music to control you, then you should back off of it.
Yeah.
But we're saying it's okay if you're with your significant other.
That's right. That's right.
Unless you want to.
I mean, unless you're trying to.
That's
yeah.
y'all's just.
That's y'all thing. If y'all getting down
More power to you.
Right, you making love.
You know,
We
you got-
just this
yeah,
is
and
real
you
talk.
want to hear from
Yeah.
you brought me over.
If you got for every
You know.
mountain playing with the candles lit, we're not knocking you. I mean,
Yeah,
We're
that's
not
your
by any
thing.
means.
I mean, I'm
More than just
a
want
think
to-
you weird though.
Yeah.
I'm gonna think you weird.
If you want to hear no weapon, you know, and you trying to wind it down and rub, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Shout out to the people that's giving us hearts. We
Yeah.
appreciate
Hey, we
y'all.
see you.
we
We
see
see
Yeah,
you.
and
Who's that? Who's that?
Oh,
right
they
there?
really like
They
this
going
subject
there.
right here.
Okay.
Thank you for the love. And
Thank you
please,
for the love.
please, we have our Facebook page ready.
That's
we
right.
have our Instagram page ready as
Yeah.
we're going on. Leave comments. We can read your comment, you know, as long as it's appropriate. But, you know, this is the purpose of the After Church Show.
It's
with
what
Greg
we
and
do,
friends.
baby.
Right. When Greg brought this to us, you know, we talked about this. Jay-Z has a line in his New York song that Jesus can't save you, life.
Which is a lie.
Right. Jesus can save you, but he's absolutely right. Life does start when the church ends. Everybody's saved in church for the most part,
Yeah.
minus all the foolishness. But this show is about when you get outside those doors. That's why
Yeah.
we have these topics. That's why,
Yeah.
you know, I support my brother. I love him. You know, that's why
I
it's
love you
here
too, man. That was
to
real nice,
help
brother.
to help us. You know, what are we doing outside the church? That's why we started with the Christian misconception. When you get out those doors, you're gonna have struggles. You're gonna
Mhm.
have anger. You're gonna have trials. You're gonna have errors, and you got to know how to navigate that. You got to know how to deal with those things. You know, even down to this topic right here.
Sure.
You know,
What do you do with secular music? Well, how because and this is another, it's a perfect segue into something else that we're planning to talk about today, which is after you get saved, what's next? You know, because a lot of times when somebody gives their life to Christ and they come to the Lord and they give their life over to Christ and they decide that they're going to live this new Christian life, and they say, well, I'm going to change my ways. You know, the sermon, it touched them in some sort of way, and their whole life perspective has changed within that couple of minutes or that couple of hours that they were in church, and they decided to make this move. So the question becomes, what's next? Because how do you really deal with life after you leave the church doors? How do you take on the world after you leave service? Because while we're in service, it's a beautiful thing. We all worshiping together. The Spirit is moving. You know, either the pastor's preaching, the organ is giving him the key that he wants and the riff that he needs to get his sermon across to you.
Out.
You got, you know, people falling out, slain in the Spirit. Some of them faking, some of them not. You can't tell the difference. But then when you leave, that's when you really have to deal with this world that we're living in. So, you know, after you're saved, what's next? So we'll come back in a little bit and we'll talk about that. And also when we come back, we're gonna go into what's called Massey's Minute. So Mr. Massey's gonna come in with the topic of the week, and he's gonna give you his perspective on a couple of things. So enjoy the music, enjoy the break. Again, if you're riding with us, we appreciate it. Again, thank you and shout out to all those who are following us. But follow us on www.streetlegalradio.com or download the app, Street Legal Radio app, or follow us on Ustream. Hashtag Street Legal Radio. See you in a few.
You're listening to Street Legal Radio.
All right, so it's 2:24. So when you do your eight whatever, we'll contribute.